Yes, ever since this classroom, you see, we've been indoctrinated into believing things. Do you even realize why you believe what you believe? Or are you just part of a globe cult? We'll find out.
Walk like us. They even talk like us. Walk like us. But they are not like us. On the weekdays, you can see the signs, you can see the signs. They wear the disguise. Look into the mind's eyes. Look into the mind's eyes. From afar, who you are. Windows to the sky. They even talk like us. They even talk like us. Walk like us. Walk like us. But they are.
This doesn't even mention gyroscopic navigation. You can talk to many pilots, see many testimonials. You can look up in their own white paper and admissions and all the testing, all the flight pilot testing, all the Navy training, whatever. It's all based upon a flat Earth. So, you people just don't get it. I hope you wake up someday. The gyroscope. The gyroscope is set level to the runway, and then when it takes off, it gets up to its altitude, 36,000 feet, and release the gimbal, and then you're flying level. Okay, not around the curve of the Earth. You can't have your ballistics theory and try and use shooting a bullet and say that has to deal with the Coriolis effect, and then, but yeah, a plane doesn't. Okay, well, according to your theory, a plane flying against the spin of the Earth isn't even going to be fast enough to go anywhere. Okay, the one going the other way is going to be going with the speed of the Earth, and plus 600 miles an hour. So we're talking 1,500 miles an hour. If you're talking about a plane being part of the atmosphere, okay, doesn't make any sense. So we have to conclude, based upon natural observation, real science, not the scientism that's become a god for you people. Just think about it. When you're in a plane, you're free from the spin of the Earth. Okay? The Earth has to be a flat, stationary plane because you always fly level. Okay? From one point to the other. Just like water is level from one point to the other. It covers 70% of the Earth. Almost 72%. Now, I mean, it's just simple logic. Can't understand that you've been brainwashed into believing this garbage? to hide that we're special. We were put here for a purpose. They don't want us to know that. That's the great deception.
Very frequently get asked. I would say every single week I go speak, which is 52 weeks a year now for 16 years. Every single week somebody will say, now Hovind, how do we see stars billions of light years away? You say the Earth is only 6,000 years old. How do we see the stars? Yesterday on the radio program, on the website, Dr. Dino, some guy called in and said, now, Hovind, I did some studies, and in a 6,000 light year radius, we'd only have so many cubic miles, and all the stars wouldn't fit. I said, wait. Who said anything about a 6,000 mile radius? He said, well, you're the one that said the universe is only 6,000 years old. Yes, I did. But I did not say all the stars are within a 6,000 light year radius. Never said that. That would be ludicrous. But how do we see the stars billions of light years away if the universe is only 6,000 years old? And I believe the Bible clearly teaches it's only 6,000 years old. And God made everything. Actually, he made the earth first in Genesis 1. And then in verse 14, he made the stars also. Evolution said...
Yeah, and he placed a firmament in the heaven, which would make sense if there's a vacuum of space, or water separated by waters, whatever. But if there is space, it has to be separated from the pressurized system, okay? We can't have a vacuum next to a pressurized system without a solid barrier. Just for you, you manipulated mathematic geniuses out there with your precious formulas that explain everything, and then your magical gravity that's not proven that you say is. Anyways, he makes some interesting points here. I don't think he'll ever come out and say that he believes the earth is flat, but what he's saying here proves the earth is flat. So let's listen to this dickhead.
Says he made the stars evolve first and then the earth. Well, there's certainly a lot of stars out there. Nehemiah chapter 9 says, Thou, even thou art Lord alone. Thou hast made the heaven of heavens. God is claiming that he made them. So, either he did or he didn't. But what about the stars? How do they fit in? Astronomers can see a star blow up about every 30 years. And it's not like it's on a timetable. It might be every 5 years, might be every 50 years, but on an average, every 30 years, a star explodes. And they're looking out there with their telescope and say, oh wow, there's a new one. A star exploded. It's called a nova. Or if it's a big one, they call it a supernova. Nova in Spanish means no-go. By the way, the Chevy Nova did not sell very well in Mexico for that reason. Hey, do you want to buy a Nova? No. Why would I do that? It won't go. But stars blow up every 30 years. Well, they've searched the heavens with these telescopes looking for how many supernova rings are there. They call it a dead star. Or they can find less than 300. Now, wait a minute. If there are less than 300 supernova rings, and one happens every 30 years, you can do the math. I mean, that's about 9,000 years. If the universe is billions of years old, there ought to be a whole lot more supernova rings out there. Why are there less than 300 supernova rings? Because it's less than 10,000 years old? Boy, they don't like that answer at all. But that's the logical conclusion. Anyway, if stars are blowing up every 30 years, we would have to have at least one star born every 30 years just to keep the balance. I mean, countries that have a population problem because they're getting less births and deaths, like Germany, more people are dying than being born. Oh, well, eventually that's going to create a problem, okay? Stars should have to be born. Nobody's ever seen one star form, not one. We see them blow up all the time. They've never seen a star form, and I'll cover that in a second. Its last estimate by Hubble telescope was that there...
Could that be because there may be angelic beings? Could they be the fallen angels? Lights placed in the firmament? I don't know. We're just talking here.
There are 70 sextillion stars.
Huh.
70 sextillion.
That's funny.
They say the universe is 20 billion years old. Well, you can do the math. That means 6.5 million stars would have to form every minute.
And they never change their rotation.
We'd have to have 6.5 million stars forming every minute for 20 billion years to make the stars that we know about. It doesn't count the ones we don't know about because we can't see them yet. Who knows how many stars are out there? Sometimes the textbooks will say, well, there are new stars being constantly born in clouds of gas and dust. This is so stupid. How a physics textbook can teach this, I don't know. Anybody that knows freshman physics knows when you try to squeeze gases together, pressure builds up, temperature builds up, and it drives them back apart. It's called Boyle's gas law. Nobody has ever seen dust collapsing into a solid. It would take such incredible pressure to do that. I was in a debate one time, and this professor, I asked him, I said, how can you get dust to collapse into a solid? Explain that to me. He said, well, we calculated that if 20 stars explode near each other, it'll produce enough pressure to make a brand new star. I said, now that's brilliant. You got to lose 20 to gain 1. I said, you ought to run for Congress. You could help those guys borrow their way out of debt, you know. It's not going to get a universe full of stars if you got to lose 20 to gain 1. And even that is only theoretical. It's never been observed, okay? I was in Alamogordo, New Mexico,
like
and they've got a science
gravity.
center down there, and they showed these pictures of star babies. They said, oh, this is a new star forming. No, sir, it's a bright spot, okay? One guy in Science magazine admitted, the silent embarrassment of modern astrophysics is we do not know how even a single one of these stars managed to form. Nobody knows how stars can form from dust clouds. No one has unambiguously observed material falling into an embryonic star, which should be happening if the star is truly still forming. And no one has caught a molecular cloud in the act of collapsing. Precisely how a section of interstellar cloud collapses gravitationally into a star, a double or multiple star, or a solar system is still a challenging theoretical problem. Astronomers have yet to find an interstellar cloud in the actual process of collapse. The origin of stars represents one of the most fundamental unsolved problems of contemporary physics. This guy said no one really understands how star formation proceeds. It's really remarkable. Nobody knows how this happens. So if they tell you new stars are forming, you tell them Kent Hovind said they're confused or they're lying.
We are about to take a journey from the dawn of time to the distant future. We will explore worlds, galaxies, space and time. Hi, I am Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I'm here to tell you how f***ing rad space is.
The face of fake NASA.
To make this journey, we will need to use our imagination, our mind's eye, and this J I just rolled. The distance to the edge of the observable universe is 13.8 billion light years. Doesn't that make you feel small? Like nothing even matters. The closest neighbor to the Milky Way is the expansive Andromeda galaxy. Whoa, that is a pretty weird word. Andromeda. 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 Andromeda.
Can't believe this fucking idiot's got people
You're created from
hypnotized.
stars. Everything is star stuff. This pizza, this cheese.
Yeah, we're all just tetrahedrons.
Pepperoni is stars.
Here for no purpose. Big Bang.
Oh, how is that made?
Nothing. Created everything.
That's Basil. A generation ago, Carl Sagan took us on a cosmic journey unlike any other. Who would have thought someone so chill would want to hang out with me? Just some dude. Oh, damn it. And now I'm here to take you on the same journey to unlock the secrets of the universe. Woo! What was that? I heard something. Did you hear that? Hey, 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 did you hear that? Is that the cops?